a representation of the nafsul wahidatan. Okay? So, this process, how do you get from here to here to here? That's the thing. How do you get from an individual male, individual female to a healthy marriage? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? Okay? But it's only because of what we don't know. Certain amount of it is going to be taken care of. Certain amount of it is going to be taken care of just by nature. There's just some things that you just know how to do. I'm going to erase this. So I need to get a shot of it before it goes. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Anybody want to get a shot of it? Go ahead and do that. You know what? I need some water too. Sakura, can you give me some water? So that NW is not northwest, it's nafsul wahida. Okay. All right. There's a guy, Ross Perot. He had a saying that he used during his political campaign. He said that the devil is in the details. But I've heard it said recently, and which I prefer better, is someone say God is in the details. All right. So now, know that this layer up here, this means there's a way that the man from heaven and the woman from heaven in this day's conversation is like there's an intention that Allah had for that. That was what is up here. That's the fitrah. What Allah intended. That's the fitrah. Now, inside of every male and every female, that plan is inside of every one of us. The man that Allah created and that Allah intends is in me. The blueprint, the information of true manhood is in me. It's not like I got to go find it somewhere. It's in me. It's in my nature because I was created masculine. I was created male. Manhood is a part of my nature. Female. Womanhood is a part of her nature. See, that's where the idea about taqwa and consciousness comes in. It's in you, but the world has put us in a situation where we don't know. What did God create me to be? How did God create? What is the right way to be? See, so if Playboy magazine or whoever else has been the advisor to us as to what manhood is or womanhood is, well, that's a part of the whole problem. The source of our information about our nature has not been true to our nature. You're just talking about the street again. You know what I'm saying? If you're getting your information from Iceberg Slim or Donald Gold or whoever, it's like, okay, well, that's what's wrong. Snoop Dogg, whoever, you don't know. You got to know what you are to be from Allah, the creator of you. That's what we have in Al-Islam. All right, so the point is, how do you get from here to here? Let's just put a little, these are the details here. when you, well, we need to understand the nature of the female. What has Allah told us about the nature of the female? He said that the female, Quran said that your women are like cultivated earth to you. Quran, just some things that are just right off the top in terms of Quran. Like, so that's what it said. Women are like cultivated earth. And then the other is of men, it says, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are the qawamuna ala nisa. That's most often read as being men are the protectors and the maintainers and the providers of women. But there's this sense of authority that we take that goes with that. You know, you're supposed to get behind me, you're supposed to do what I say, you're supposed to obey me. We usually take that tact on it. But actually the qawamun is actually saying men are to set the woman up. Men are the ones who set up the woman. Not set the woman up for a takedown, but you're supposed to establish the woman. Okay? So, women are like cultivated earth. What do you have to do with the earth? You have to till the soil, you have to take care of it, you don't let bad things happen in it or to it, etc. Then you plant your seed in it. And then the health of that soil is going to give birth to the nature in the seed that you planted in it, right? Of course, the first message of that is biology. First message of that is biology. So we plant the seed, the semen in the womb, and of course it gives back to us, inshallah, the life that Allah would allow to blossom there. So the idea is that when we talk about, again, we talk about the good man, good woman, the question of, which comes first? Which comes first, the good man or the good woman? Well, that could be a debatable matter. But when you look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done, He always put the woman first. Nafsun wahida, that's first. The woman is first. All males and females come from a woman. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your mother, then your father. So the woman takes precedence. The woman takes precedence. And the treatment of the woman and the care of the woman and the condition of the woman is first. All right? So as it relates to how we are to relate to the woman is considered, well, they're called the fairer sex by some culture. The Prophet identifies them as fragile glass and the like. And again, when he says, surely the best among you is the best in treatment of his wife, and also the idea of the treatment and respect for the woman is primary there. So the attitude that we are to have toward the woman is put her in a prime position. Now it takes both of us. It says you are a garment for her and she is a garment for you. So there's this mutuality, there's this reciprocity, there's this dynamic between us as males and female that causes both of us to be what we were created to be. In order for a woman to be the woman that heaven woman, right? In order for the woman to be the woman that God created her to be, she needs a man that's aware of that and treats her with the objective of helping her to become what God created her to be. And the woman has to do the same. She has to know what the design of God for the man is, and she has to relate to him in a way that would cause him to be nurtured to be the man that she created to be. So what does that mean? That means that both the man and the woman, I just got to tell you the reality. Both the man and the woman have to have a relationship with Allah. Listen now, we talk about Christian women and Muslim women and the like. Now you know that women of the book are allowed to Muslim men. Y'all know that, right? So and the other side of it is this. Well, another part of it. Let me make this point clear first. When I have the proper relationship with Allah and I relate to my woman through my relationship to Allah, I don't relate to Allah through my relationship with her. I relate to Allah, and then I relate to her through my relationship with Allah. See, my wife doesn't dictate my religion. But my relationship with Allah dictates my relationship with my wife. So it's not just a question of what she does or does not do. It's a question of what she does or does not do and how that relates to what Allah has said is expected of her and expected of me in relationship to her. So I might not like the way she talked to me on an occasion. But the first thing I react to is not the way that she talked to me. First thing I react to is, okay, what does God say to you about the way she talked to you? You know what I'm saying? That's a big difference. And you have to take a minute in order to be responsible and not be reactive. It's like, oh, okay, ooh, that didn't feel good. Ooh. But you don't automatically react to your feelings about it. You have to react to what did God say to you and what did the prophet model for you in that situation, then act on that. That's taqwa. That's taqwa. Otherwise, you may be acting like your uncle or your daddy or Iceberg Slim. You know, you have to be reacting as a believer. All right, so that's the first thing. Now, that's just Islamic practice. Now, our way of life is Deen al-Fitr. It's the way of life that you see in the pattern of nature. So nature is a textbook for our relationship. If you haven't seen March of the Penguins, if you got time, these are long little documentary movies, but you need to look at them. You can get some big lessons from that because that's nature telling you how you're supposed to relate to your relationship, to your offspring, and the like.
Can I
go?
Question before you erase that.
Go ahead.
I kind of understand the nature of the man.
Mm-hmm.
Say set up the woman.
Yeah.
Provider, protector, maintainer. I kind of got that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quite get the nature of the woman. I know you got cultivated earth, but
yeah.
Because you kind of.
That's why I'm going to elaborate. You track it well. That's exactly where I was going. All right. So okay. So we understand that. I'm going to go ahead and let's go. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Men are active, women are passive, right? So you have the symbolism of this society has given us this as the woman, and it's given us this as the male. The circle with the arrow going out, and this one with what you basically call the anchor here. That's the female. That's the male. Excuse me. Women are sedentary, women are passive, men are active. So, when it says, well, let me go ahead and read it. 434 is the chapter. 4th chapter, 34th verse is the point that answers this question. Inshallah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم فالصالحات قانتات حافظات للغيب بما حفظ الله. Okay, so it says, a translation of it says, and men are the qawamun over upon the woman ala nisa. Bima, by what fadl, because Allah has, because of the favor of Allah, fadlullah ba'aduhum Allah has favored some ala ba'd, some over the other. And we'll talk about that. وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا, and by what he spends, مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ, of his wealth, right? مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. Now, then it goes to start talking about the woman. فَالصَّالِحَاتٌ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِغَيْبِ بِمَا حَافِظَ اللَّهِ. Okay, so men, what's been told, God has said, men have been favored a little bit over the woman. Part of that favor is the freedom that man has by his nature, and the fact that she is more confined. We got to go back before modern time, birth control and all the rest of that. Woman gets pregnant, she's got to be sedentary. She has to be provided for. She cannot go out and about as she wants. Male goes out and about as he wants. But his freedom to go out and about is designed to go out and about to get what it takes to provide for. This is what it talks about, يُنْفِقُ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. They spend from their wealth. So the tiger, the lion, the bear, whatever, they go out and get what they're supposed to be bringing out. You don't find the tiger, the lion, they out there and they go out there and they eat, come back home. They ain't brought nothing back for the wife or the child. No, nature doesn't do it like that. They bring it back to provide for the child and the mother, etc., in that sedentary state. So that's the male. So the male has this freedom, but he also has a responsibility that goes with that freedom. He also has the strength that he has over the woman, but he's supposed to use that strength for her benefit. Not only for protection, but also for provision. That's male nature. So when a man is acting in that way, then that's when he's acting as a man. Let me go ahead and give this definition of manhood. And I think that this sort of also helps us to understand also that it's really when a man becomes a man, the woman automatically becomes the woman, that woman from heaven. When the man becomes the man that he was created to be, it's an automatic that the woman becomes the woman that she's supposed to be. Now I got to talk about a lot of other things. I'll put a word out here, I'm not going to spend no time with it right now. Syzygy. And that has to do with, like what Omar was asking about in terms of the impact of chattel slavery and the like on our life. It's an ongoing impact that's impacting us right now. And that has impacted the way that we've been socialized, and that has impacted our ability to be normal men and normal women. But see, now we're in a position to know, okay, we can fix that in this generation. All right? But let's understand this. This is manhood. Manhood is a social barrier that's built up around the group life. And it protects the group life from physical enemies, from the forces of time and nature. I'm going to take this out. If I forget any of these, you can bring it back. The forces of time and nature. From physical enemies. Another is human weakness. Human weaknesses. And another word, entropy. What is entropy? Entropy is the tendency of things to go from order to chaos. Entropy, the tendency of things to go from order to chaos, okay? It's like, let's just go around each one. Physical enemies. If somebody attacked this building, the women are downstairs. What are we going to do? We going to stay up here? I hope they be all right. No. Whatever, how fast we got to get there, we're going to be there. Right? Because that's what men do. They protect the group life from physical enemies. right? And from the force of time and nature. If the roof starts falling, getting holes in it, the windows cracked, the paint's peeling, etc., we're not sending our women out there to fix the roof and fix the windows and paint the building. We gonna do that, right? So that's the force of time and nature, right? Also, there's human weakness. If you got human weakness in a place, whatever, you got envy, jealousy, hostility going on between people in the group, chaos, confusion. Somewhere a man got to stand up and say, hey, wait, hey, look, cut this mess out. Ain't no woman that's got, the woman shouldn't be the one standing right now. The woman has to be the one standing. There's something wrong with the manhood of that space. Right? But manhood is going to say, hey, that's manhood. Because there is human weaknesses showing up. And same way with entropy. Entropy. If there's supposed to be order, then you got disorder. Supposed to there's chaos. And like manhood is what corrects that. Right? So the group life is like the woman. The manhood of a society, you see, even a Harriet Tubman or a Sojourner Truth, and there have been Ida B. Wells, there have been women who have expressed a kind of manhood because they acted in ways that men were really kind of pressed down from acting in those times during and after slavery, for sure. So that shows you that masculine principle can come up in a female if it's necessary, and Allah will have that happen. It's happened in our lives so much. All right, so when you talk about that, so when men do what they're supposed to do, women are passive. Active meaning that it's giving the action. Passive means it's receiving the action. Women are passive. So in order for women to become what Allah created them by nature, it does require the man to trigger her femininity. Okay? Now, the deen of fitr, right? Our religion is the religion of fitr. Seagulls. The adult seagull, there's a red dot on the beak of the adult seagull. And the way that seagulls feed their young is they go out and they swallow the food and it's held there until they get back to the nest. When they get to the nest, the adult bends down in care of the little chicklings, and the chickling pecks the red dot on the beak of the adult seagull, and it regurgitates what it has swallowed and brought back to the nest. So it had to be triggered to act. Okay? And that's how the baby seagull gets fed. That's how the baby seagull grows up. That's how it gets its dot. And that's how the cycle of life continues for them. Okay, but that's just a sign of what happens with men and women. It's called the internal response mechanism. Internal response mechanism. When I, as a man, I'll erase these, but when I, as a man, act in accordance with what Allah created me as, true to the masculine principle, and I relate to my woman, true to the masculine principle, what that does is trigger the internal response mechanism of the female to give the treasure that Allah has put in her for me. That's how you get that woman from heaven. But see, you have to be there first. Right? See, listen, Casanova, pimps, they know how to play on the female psychology. Right? But they have no good in mind, no good intention at all. But they know how to flip that switch. And not just the G-spot or anything like that. Come on now, let's be real. We all men, well, blocked up and maybe some other. to the women on there. But they know, you know, it's not that, it's not that. That's just the physical. The physical side of it, alhamdulillah, it don't hurt, but then that gets old at a certain point in time. The party ain't about that. But in any case, so, and that's just a sign of the other thing. We said of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And let me go ahead and say that. Please forgive me, my sisters, if I give you any offense. The offense is not intended at all, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So the idea is the physical is still only a symbol of the real. Okay? So when I act as a male in accordance with the nature of my masculine creation, the female that reacts to that, she is reacting in her nature to my manifestation of my masculine nature. Right? Now listen, no matter how much the woman might want to give you, share with you, love you, care for you, that treasure that I'm speaking of that's in her, that the Prophet ﷺ, the universe is filled with resources, and the greatest of those resources is a righteous wife. Listen, so that means that there's more treasure in a righteous wife than you can find in the universe. But those treasures don't come easy. Do you think you're going to be left alone on saying we believe and not be tried? And this is the nature of the female, to try the male. Yeah. See, that's why, you know, when you start feeling that, oh man, all she's doing is acting out her nature. She can't help it, even if she wanted to. In marriage, you have to bring the mahar. Mahar means dowry. Dowry is something that you're supposed to give. Islamic marriage is not acceptable without a dowry. Right? And she determines the dowry. And you can't walk around. You know, I know they do it. But you know, probably the married sister, all he gave was a verse of the Quran. Miss me with that, Papa. It's like, you ain't all that sunnah. You ain't the prophet. So mine is dowry, right? All right, remember the book of nature. The book of nature. There's this bird. Sorry, I can't remember the bird's name. This is one of this fact. When it comes mating season, these birds, the females, you know, they just sit back waiting to go, who's going to step up? Is the bowerbird? Okay. So the male have to build the nest. When he builds the nest, then she got to come check out the nest and see if the nest is cool. If the nest is cool, she come on in. She set up house, we can do whatever else we got to do to make this house a home, right? So that's that bird. There's another one, I'm not sure if the bowerbird is the one specific I'm thinking about. It's the level of design and like if she like it. Is this the one that gets on the nest? Yeah, this is. Okay, there you go. Okay, good. Okay, so we're on the same page. So what happens with her also is that when the nest is built, after he finishes building the nest, he goes and flies off and he's on a branch over there somewhere. She's been watching him build over here. And then when he goes over there, then she comes to the nest, she jumps on the nest and tries to tear it down. She's like, if it breaks down, you didn't qualify for it now. I'm looking for somebody else. Let me see. Find another builder, right? So it said, so that bowerbird, he sets up the woman. When he said, now she's ready to be feminine, ready to be female, ready to be the wife. And that's what's symbolized and represented in the maher, the dowry that we're supposed to be, it means skill and ability. Maher comes from that meaning, skill and ability. Because when you give the dowry, it's to demonstrate I have the skill and ability to take care of you. That's the same thing as the Bible bird who built a good nest. I got the ability to take care of you. So here she comes, and yeah, let's do this. Right? The fact that he has established himself as the male first, now she can bring her feminine excellences and resources because he's established that. That's what the dowry is a symbol of, but then that's a symbol of how the life has to be. Because once you get to that situation where you have lived in, up to, and upon what Allah expects of you as a man in relationship to your woman, then the treasure pops open. And she begins to be for you what Allah created in her to give to you. Oh man. Love, sharing, kindness, stroking your ego, telling you how good you are, how great you are, bringing you your meals, cooking for you, cleaning that house when she leaves. I gotta tell you about that. Now, in reality, in Al-Islam, the woman is not obligated in Al-Islam to do that. I need to be real clear with that. See, when you marry your wife, you didn't marry a cook, a housekeeper, you know, a laundryess, what have you. No, you married your wife. You actually supposed to hire somebody else to do those things. Now, we think Allah, mine does all that, and I think I love her, but she's real clear that she don't have to do that. And so that's why I'm thanking Allah every day. I don't take none of it for granted. None of it for granted. So, in that sense, then, so this is how the woman becomes, see, she's passive. You understand what I'm saying? She's passive. She's waiting for you to get the right combination. Once you get that right combination, click, then it opens up. Oh, the woman who has had her internal release mechanism opened up, man, you'll feel like a king. You'll feel like everything that you think you're supposed to feel in that kind of situation, unsolicited, that happens, right? But you got to fulfill your responsibility first. So for me, that answers the question. First, and I think Aretha Franklin had it right. Where he said, if you want a do-right woman, you got to be a do-right man. It's real. It's real. And yeah, the women have things that they have to do. And maybe if I was sitting in front of women, more so, I could elaborate even more in detail on that. But the point is for us to understand us as men. Okay, so here's the thing. Love. Let's talk a little bit about love. Okay, let's do it this way. Somebody asked something about money. Who's that asked something about money? Okay. We need to find out what's our time frame. Can you find out from Shaniki or whoever how much time we're working on? When we marry, when we decide, maher I already mentioned. But when we marry, if you consolidate a marriage, a decision has already been made about two things, even if it was done unconsciously. Most often it is done unconsciously. There are, I'll use this symbol. This is the West's symbol of the heart. There are emotional and economic expectations that both parties to the marriage have. Even if you haven't talked about it. When you enter into a marriage, there has been some kind of tacit decision that says, okay, this is how much money I'm going to bring to the relationship, and this is how much affection or care, concern, or relatedness I'm going to bring to, emotional support I'm going to bring to the relationship, right? And it's upon that agreement you enter into the marriage. Okay, well, let's say one of them breaks down, right? Let's say the affection that I was expecting from you, that you led me to believe I was going to be able to get once we got married, I'm not getting that. So you breaking the contract, whether we did it concretely or abstractly, you're not loving me the way that I was led to believe you're going to love me. Okay, economically, You know, something breaks down, okay, you had a full-time job or what have you, or you had a business, okay, but you lost the business, or your income went down, blah, 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 what have you, or you didn't bring as much as you were going to bring, or I found out your credit was worse than it was, and now I'm sacked with all your bills that I didn't have before I married you, what have you, they go both ways. So in any case, the point is that there's emotional, economic and emotional aspects to it. Now, when we look at, let me give you these letters here, Mr. and Mrs. I really like this. Okay, I really like this. MR stands for masculine responsibility. When you fulfill your masculine responsibility, you have the right to be called Mr. Right? When the verse says, men are the establishers of women, that's the definition of man. That's the definition of man. See, so if you are a man in this Quranic sense, then you have to be able to have women that can testify to the fact that you fulfill your masculine responsibility. Now, it could be your aunt, it could be your mother, it could be your grandmother, it could be your wife, it could be your daughters, but there has to be some woman that can confirm that you have fulfilled your masculine responsibility. Until you have those witnesses, your manhood is in question. Because by God's definition, men are the protectors, the maintainers, the providers, the establishers of women. So the question becomes, where's the woman that you've established? Yes, sir.
Could that be why the white person kept calling us boys?
Yeah, he said, would that be why the white man kept calling us boy? That's a big part of it. His intention was to keep us boy, but then also until you can, and that society is not just the biological woman, it's the group life. Right? Where's the group life for which you can be depended upon to defend it from physical enemies, the force of time and nature, human weaknesses, and entropy? Where is it? So these people that float around say, I go to all the communities. And you're not making a contribution to anyone who can depend on you for what have you. That's not manhood. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, actually, that's the definition of a hypocrite. Yeah, he said the hypocrite is like a sheep that goes from flock to flock, not having any particular shepherd. So bottom line, I said, so this is masculine responsibility, and then MRS is masculine responsibility supported. See, the woman can only support you in meeting your masculine responsibility. We have to accept the pressure that comes from the needs that our women have, because that pressure brings out of us potential that otherwise wouldn't come forward if out of love and care and concern for her, it's like, because I feel this way about you, and when I see that you have needs that are not being met, that's pressure on me. And my love for you says, I got to figure out something to do. That was my situation when I talked about my situation when my wife left me. It's like, man, I got to figure out something to do. Because this ain't working. I know I got to be with that girl. So I got to fix this. Let me tell you what I did. I said to myself, on that same corner, I talked about the heroin trip, the heroin brother, you know, it's like, so that became my spot. He went wherever he went, then that became my spot. That became my stage. You think about the key corner in Detroit, wherever that is, central downtown Detroit, well, central downtown Oakland, that was my spot. When you looking for a paper, look for me. I'm there on the block, right? Okay, but after this thing had went down with my wife, I said, okay, well, after I sold my last paper that day, I said to myself, I said, for every supply, there's a demand. And for every demand, there's a supply. And Allah knows where the supply is, and Allah knows where the demand is. So I said, I need a job. And what I did, I started walking on that very corner, started knocking on the door, going into these businesses downtown. I said, look, I need a job. I'm sorry, we don't have nothing for you today. to the next one. Same story. Went to the third one, I had a job that day. I can tell you, my first job as a FOI from that FOI, Radio Shack. I went to work for Radio Shack. Ain't been back since, but it's like really, that whole stock. The worst part of it was keeping the stock. You know, you have to go and make sure to account for all that stuff. But what I'm saying is that the love for the woman put the pressure on me to meet the demand, and then I brought out a resource that otherwise wouldn't have been brought out. All right? But that comes out of love. So I need to say, what did we find out?
Oh, they said you can continue to go, but they do want to do a little lunch, and most definitely Thor is in, and also come in around 2:50.
Okay.
So we working within that gap.
All right, good. Okay, well, I'll finish it. I'll finish it with this. We'll get back to some of the things that we have covered. Here, when you talk about love, listen. The finance thing, the money thing, the resource thing. Believe me, Allah has it all. We don't have to depend on, you know, whatever they're saying about the unemployment statistics and this and that. It don't matter. Everything belongs to Allah. Everything belongs to Allah. Whatever Allah intends you to have, you can get. But you have to make the demand. You have to step out there in terms of that. Now, in terms of, and we'll speak a little bit about how to manage it, how to manage that situation when this changes. When the economic situation changes, okay, naturally there's going to be stress, there's going to be problems. It's the nature of the woman to start to feel insecure when you know, money's low, bills ain't paid. That's in her nature. You don't hold that against her. Don't hold that against her. Because if she doesn't put that kind of pressure on us, then we won't put pressure on ourselves to try to do it. And if you really don't care about it, it's going to break down anyway. So it's like, okay, well, it's over. If you don't really want to take care of her, and therefore that pressure on her, the pressure from her on you, is not enough for you to get off the diet, well, then you really don't want the marriage anyway. You don't want the relationship because she's definitely not going to, well, inshallah, if she's sane, she's not going to stay because she can't stay in that situation. So once we accept that pressure out of the care and the love that we have for her, then we will, with Allah's help, become creative and be able to create wherewithal to achieve something where we otherwise would not do it. But let me tell you what this. There are 4 elements that really make for love. There's resource sharing. Resource sharing meaning that you have something to share with your wife. I'm going to tell you now, listen. Your life is your life. You got to deal with your life the way that you deal with your life. Listen, when I have a payday or when I have income, by and large, I'll put this on it. I'll put 90% on it. I just take the money and give it to her. And I don't think about it again. She paid bill X, Y, Z, what? Good. Why? She's concerned about her own security. She want to make sure that the roof is over her head. She want to make sure that the lights are on, utilities paid, etc. I give you 90%, let's say, of what I have. You got to work with what you got to work with, right? She has her income. She knows that her income is her income. But she also got system up just like washing the dishes, cooking. It's like you need to bring your piece in order to make it really, really, really work. Because, you know, I ain't got the wherewithal to do it all. We both know that. Of course, now, we've been doing what we do for 43 years. So, it wasn't always like that. It's that, you know, teamwork makes the dream work, right? Once we decide, okay, that's how it does, it's okay, that's how we roll. Okay? That works for me. There's no issue. But I do recognize whenever, you know, funds get a little bit low, there's a little more tension, a little more stress, a little more, you can feel that, and say, okay, well, let me make sure I make some moves to make something happen here because I don't want that other side to come out, and I know it's all natural, right? So I'm not mad. It's resource sharing. Another is resource display. I'm speaking from nature now. Resource display is like peacocks, right? In order for a mate, bowerbird, whoever else, in order for that male mate, in order to get a female mate, he's got to display that he has resources. Whether it's a big chest, boom, you know, with the feathers, you flash out like that, and Ooh, like that, right? That's the bird, she's looking at that. But you have to have resource display, right? So in terms, even when you're talking about somebody that you are entreating for marriage, you're going to have to hit this at some point in time. There's going to have to be some resources for what you got. I mean, you guys, even if she don't ask you, she want to know. Believe that. What did you drive up in? Where you live in? She'll take the zip code and say, what side of the city you live. All that, she'll get some kind of feedback as to what your resource display is, right? Another is mate guarding. This is a sign of love. Mate guarding. If your wife shows a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy, a little bit of concern, that you're kind of looking at your sister a little too long, you kind of know a little too much detail about this woman over here, like, what's going on, right? That's not a bad thing, that's nature. That's mate guarding. You mine. So, like, you ain't supposed to be spending all that time on that consciousness right there, right? So that's mate guarding. And then also, acts of fidelity. And these acts of fidelity is very simple. All right. There's a time that you usually expect to have dinner. Of course, now I'm talking about married situations, but then for those of you who are not married, I'm just preparing you for that situation. Or explaining why it didn't work before, right? There's a way that things are supposed to go, right? And it gets set up in the pattern of life in your household. Okay, so let's say eating usually happens between 5 and 6. Let's just say it happens between 5 and 6. Okay, a couple of days, you kind of missed the deadline. It's 6:10. You come in 6:10. And then you didn't say nothing. She didn't say nothing. A couple of days later, you come in 6:10 again, 6:15. Suspicions come up, right? All right, well, suspicion, that's breaking down the trust in the relationship. So what you have to always do is when the pattern is broken, you have to show acts of fidelity. What does that mean? Get on the phone and call. Hey, baby, I'm stuck in this traffic right here. I'm trying to get left early, but they got these kind of problems. Now, that's only going to work when it's true and a number of times. You know what I'm saying? See, here's the other thing about women. Women, you talk about women's intuition. Man, I'm telling you, trust me. You can lie to a woman and it might work for you, but she already got that figured out. She already knows. It was just the way your right eye flooded at the moment that you said it. The direction, I mean, she colder than the FBI. That nigga lying. Okay, so you call. I'm going to be late. Sorry. Whoa, whoa, whoa. But you do other things that say, look, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Got that. You got to figure out that language. So the point is, these are the kinds of things that we have to do. So when you're in situations where these kinds of things are broken down, one thing you need to know about, especially the economic side, one thing you need to know about it is that there's a certain amount of insecurity that comes up in her, and it's all natural. You have to accept, I say, accept the pressure that goes with her discomfort in being in a less than healthy economic situation, and then put pressure on yourself to say, okay, what kind of creative things can I do? Or what can I do to show that I don't mean for things to be this way? Listen, you can go in your closet, and you can find clothes that you ain't wore in years. You can pull that out. Maybe you might need to have a yard sale. Go in your garage, find the same thing. Trust now, women, all she needs to know, are you trying to do something? Or are you just sitting there saying, woe is me? See, because if you do that, then now she got your back. She can come up with creative ways of doing things. Okay, so we're going to have to go ahead and cut this here. I know there's several things that we didn't get to cover. But inshallah, when we get back to couples, maybe even with the relationship thing and the slavery piece can come up when we do the couples piece. Yes, go right ahead. Let me go ahead and take a couple of comments. I'm going to have to cut it right here. Take any kind of comments or questions that you want to have, and we're done. So you can let them know that we're just ending up with questions and answers, and we're done. Yes, James.
Where can we get the DVD?
I don't know. What's up with the DVD?
You can get it real soon. I'm talking about your DVD.
I have, well, actually, I don't have DVDs with me this time. I have CDs.
CDs?
For the materials that we have. So they'll be there now and available.
Out there?
Yeah, when we break for lunch or whatever, I'll open them up and bring them down. They're in the bag.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yes, sir.
You were speaking on the finance part of marriage, and then you mentioned your creativity has to come into play.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the Honorable Elijah do for self, black man. Right. You don't have a job. You don't have nothing.
Yes, yes.
That's where your creativity comes into play and make a job.
Yes. Alhamdulillah. That's what you have to do. Yes. You can. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go to Omar since I've gotten you.
This made me think about the FOI classes.
Yes.
And I see that there's a need for that type of a situation, but where they would not get the captive type of relationship, where you have this, maybe as a rite of passage or a development, male development course, where we are taught this science.
Yes. Yeah, and we still need that. And we need it for the men and for the women. So just change the name. You still do the same kind of thing, but the MGT and the FOI, the principle is what was involved, and what's needed nowadays. That's what needs to be taught. What you need today, relative to life situation as it is. Let me go from a new, and then I'm gonna come back to you, James. Go ahead.
I first want to say I enjoyed that. I really like that a lot.
Thank you.
I wanted to say something about the other side because, you know, my math skills make me always want to see the other side. And I was interested in maybe we could later on, if not now, talk about the internal response mechanism.
Internal release. Did I write response?
I think
Internal release is what I should have written.
Well, I just made a note about the internal release or response mechanism that we can trigger with the female.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I kind of like to hear a little bit about the internal response that she can trigger in the male, that the female can trigger the male.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I would be interested in seeing that side too.
Yeah, and that's a very important question. And I won't even make a comment that's an important side of it. But there's a dynamic. The dynamic happens automatically. So once you get one started, then it reverberates. What she does in giving what she gives from your having opened her up, the impact on you is going to bring more out of you. So we can detail it, but that's really how it works. It starts there, and then it's like a chain reaction. There's a dynamic relationship. James, and then go ahead.
I had this, like I'm 73 years old. I like Victor's sister. Got Tony J.
Okay.
What would you do?
Well, you gotta decide, you know, the value of it. I mean, you have to decide what it is that she brings, what it is that she brings to you. If you were in a relationship, what's let's just call it return on investment, right? I mean, you gotta look at what's the gain, you know, and what's the price, right? If that's not the gain, then because really marriage in the larger part of it, marriage is a business deal. You know, and we talk about the marriage contract.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, yes sir.
I think about the resource sharing part. I mean, when you're in Islam, you know, I was always raised to a man takes care of a woman no matter what income she brings in.
Yes,
It's her responsibility to take care of a woman. I like the part when you said, well, I give her 90%.
Yeah.
That's what I got to offer.
Right.
We can live off of that 90% that I'm bringing.
Right.
But if she really want to take it to the next level, then she has to put in to the pot as well. And I think that for me, you know, I took a lot away from that because I struggle with that a little bit. Like, should I give every single dime that I make to my, because my woman gets all, pretty much all, she controls finance.
Right, that's
You
a
know, I
good
go to
thing.
work, I put check there,
That's
I
a
don't
good
think about it.
thing.
Just-
Trust me, your
I
life
trust
is-
that the bills, my light's gonna be on when I get home,
Right.
and I'm able to turn on Sports Center when I get there.
Life is better because of that. Just
Right,
let,
so-
let it go.
You know, but so I let that part go, but my wife also has an income.
Yes.
And the way that she spends her money sometimes for me,
Yeah,
the way that I see her spend her money,
yeah,
don't make a lot of sense.
yeah.
It's
but-
kind of like, why, you know, that don't make sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put our resources into that particular direction.
Yeah, you gotta watch your pronouns. Yeah, you say our.
That's her resource.
Yeah, that's her.
That's why the pronoun.
So, we gonna have to close out. I'm sorry, I hate to cut you off. I'm gonna go ahead and take this comment. There's more to say about it. Everything we're talking about, but because we gotta go, not only because of prayer, but because of lunch, because of the rest of the program. But go ahead, Malik, real quick.
I just want to make certain at this stage of life, I'm understanding this correctly.
Okay.
Can't get water from a stone.
Mm-hmm.
You make 50 a year, you can't spend 55.
Uh-huh.
So my understanding is what your responsibilities are to maintain that. But up front, she knows where you are.
Mm-hmm.
She can't expect you to overdo that out of what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I've seen right here, marriages last 3 months,
Yeah.
you know, because of that.
Yeah, and I think it's because of what we don't know about it. I mean, I think there's expectation. We're gonna have to conclude with just saying this, and this connect to what you were just talking about, which relates, of course, to what he was saying. It's also, what's your name, bro? Kareem. Quran says this. The Quran says, they ask thee, what am I to give in charity? And the answer is, say what is beyond your needs. Now, there's a social translation and social application to what we're talking about in everyday life with that. It means that whatever you can give without resenting it, that's good. But if you give and then you start resenting what you give, now understand now, when it comes to your responsibility for the livelihood of the family, that's not charity in the formal sense. It's an obligation, it's a responsibility. The financial wherewithal of the household is fully on the shoulders of men. And God also says in the Quran, it said, whatever she brings it as a charity, and you can eat it up with right good cheer. So Islam doesn't allow us to obligate her with her wealth to take care of what's mandatory for the lifestyle the life that we have. But as was said, if you want to live off what I got, then you got to live inside this thing. If you want to go, that'll be your choice. But this is what I got to bring to. That's reality. But then you don't take that as an obligation on her part. You take it as a charity on her part, and it's all good for as far as that goes. Now, for as far as any other economic relationship, that's an agreement. Along with that, that's an agreement that the couple has to come into. You know, it's like, when you talk about sense, right? You say, well, that don't make no sense. You know, you say, you know, you can't get water from the stove. You know, you can't have 55,000 lifestyle and you only got 50 coming in, right? See, this is the thing about men.